Hurry up and get to class, young man. The bell rang 10 minutes ago. Sam, the janitor, waved at me as I went by. He was always looking out for us kids, even if we were breaking the rules. He shot me a wink and went back to mopping the floor near the water fountain. Attending school at the academy was a privilege. And what mattered most was your aptitude. And I had the aptitude. There was no doubt about that. I was the top of all my classes, the envy of all my peers. I guess that's why I could get away with sauntering into class 10 minutes late. The heavy oak door swung open with a loud creak, and everyone in class turned to look at me, as the professor was interrupted mid-sentence. So now the most important thing, class, and now this is vital. The teacher paused, staring daggers at me, and refused to continue what he was saying. I made my way to my desk and sat down, feeling the eyes of everyone on the back of my neck. You're late again, Mr. Jacobson, Professor Whitby said. And what is the reason this time? My excuses were legendary around these parts. Homicidal nano-robot attack? I offered with a straight face. There were a few muffled laughs and giggles. Homicidal nano-robot attack, the professor confirmed, lowering his glasses in disbelief. I nodded. Is that your final answer? He asked with a scowl. That was the first time I had seen him look genuinely angry. Mr. Jacobson, why don't you step up here to the front of the class and join me for just a moment? Ooh, the class intoned. Okay, I was starting to get a little bit nervous. The possibility of being expelled from the academy hadn't really occurred to me until just then. But the look on the professor's face suddenly reminded me that such things had happened before, and for much less than this. Standing up on shaky legs, I went to the front of the class. Mr. Jacobson, do you know what happens to young men who don't follow the rules of the academy? He put his hand on my shoulder, squeezing it just a little bit too firmly. No, sir. They get the collar. He brought his other hand up quickly and snapped a high-tech looking collar around my neck. It had a blue glowing light at its center, which turned red once it was closed around my throat. My hands shot up instantly, trying to tear the thing from my neck. It was rigid and uncomfortable, and I wanted it off more than anything. The worst part was that it felt like it was sapping me of my energy as it blinked and thrummed abrasively against my skin. Suddenly, I had a feeling this was all wrong. It was like I was in a bad dream. Teachers at the academy didn't discipline students like this, did they? The rest of the class looked just as startled and terrified as me by what was happening. Come with me, young man. We're going to see the principal about your behavior. This school is too good for you. He began to march me out of the room, then down the hallway towards the principal's office. Sam, the kindly janitor, saw us and gasped. Mr. Locke, what are you doing? I tried to cry out for help, but the collar squeezed my throat so tightly it wouldn't allow it. The old janitor ran over with the mop in hand and swung the handle of it in a desperate attempt to stop the rogue teacher. But the younger man was quicker, and he dodged out of the way easily. Then he kicked the old man in the back, sending him flying into the lockers on the other side of the hall. Sam fell down to the floor, looking hurt. He was slow to get up as Mr. Locke grabbed me roughly by the arm again and began to drag me away down the hall. As I struggled and fought to get away, he pulled me past the principal's office, and I realized he definitely wasn't taking me there. The front doors of the academy were just up ahead, and he was taking me towards them, a determined look etched on his face. Come on, you little brat, quit fighting, he muttered under his breath as he dragged me down the hall, my shoes dragging across the linoleum tiles. Someone stop him! He's kidnapping a student! Sam yelled from down the hall, getting his wind back. This prompted a security guard to come around the corner from his patrol. He pulled out his radio and spoke rapidly into the receiver. A few seconds later, the overhead PA came on, and a voice began to speak monotonously. Lockdown in effect. Lockdown in effect. All security personnel respond to the main entrance. Giant steel shutters began to close, blocking out the light from the front door and filling the hallway with darkness. Shit! Professor Locke looked worried all of a sudden. I need backup, he said, speaking into the cufflink of his shirt. They're going into lockdown. I've got the target 20 meters from the main entrance, looking for extraction. A few seconds later, there was a loud bang, and I looked to see the front door had been decimated by an explosion. After that, an APC crashed through the broken steel shutters which had covered the front entrance. Men in black body armor with high-tech weaponry emerged from the back of the vehicle and scrambled into defensive positions as Mr. Locke dragged me down the hall. What are you doing? Help me with this little brat. I got the collar on him. The men in body armor didn't move, but their weapons suddenly flew from their hands as if pulled by powerful electromagnets. The guns went past our heads, and I looked back in surprise to see my entire class. All of the other students were in the hallway behind us. My classmates looked angry, their faces set with determined expressions, their hands stretched out in the air in front of them, and I felt Professor Locke's grip on my shoulder loosen. He was reaching up to his throat as if it was being squeezed by Darth Vader, choking him, just like his collar was choking me. Now, stop. You listen to me. I'm your teacher. But the class didn't listen. The children began to raise their hands higher into the air, focusing their concentration on him, and Professor Locke's feet began to lift from the ground until he was hovering in the air. Then he was floating several feet in the air, his hair brushing the ceiling tiles as he continued to turn red, his face going from a deep crimson to an eggplant purple color. One of the students did me a favor, and with a snap of her fingers, the collar broke and fell from my neck, landing on the floor with a clang. I felt my strength flooding back. The other men in body armor were rushing over, pulling out secondary weapons and getting into firing range, hoping to stun us with tranquilizers. I saw a few of their shots hit their marks, and several students fell down unconscious in the hallway. With each kid who went down, Mr. Locke fell an inch lower, his face regaining its normal, pale shade. The men fired more tranquilizer darts, and several more kids fell over, looking like they were fast asleep afterwards. A few of the men started moving towards me. They grabbed me and started pulling me towards their APC. Mr. Locke now had his feet firmly on the ground, as the kids were shot with tranquilizer darts one by one. With a concerted effort, he started walking towards the APC. But then he looked down and saw my collar was missing. Wait, stop! Where's the collar? He yelled, backing away from me. There's another one in the vehicle. Come on, it's just him. There's no threat from only one of them. We had been trained since a young age to work together at the academy. We were a unit, which would one day be unleashed on a foreign military when World War III inevitably came around. Typically, only one psychic commando was not very powerful, especially at our young age. But I had shown my aptitude. I was a prodigy. Not him! He's too strong! Get the collar, quick! Mr. Locke was screaming now, running towards the exit. But it was too late. My head had started to clear, and I could feel my power returning. I reached out my hand and pulled the teacher back toward us, his feet skidding noisily across the linoleum tiles. He zipped backwards as if pulled by an invisible string, and then was standing just beside me. You don't deserve to be in this school, I told him, turning my hand as if twisting a light bulb. His neck snapped and he collapsed on the floor a second later. The sounds of guns being raised and pointed at my head could be heard on all sides of me, as the men took aim. With a thought, I plucked the rifles from their hands and sent them flying down the hallway, towards the trophy case 100 yards away. They slid across the floor and hit the wall with a clatter. Suddenly, the men were unarmed, looking at me with stunned faces as I stood in the midst of them. They began to run, but were not fast enough. I reached out both my hands as they stumbled away, screaming and terrified. Why are you guys leaving so soon? I asked, their legs breaking from the power of my thoughts, their ankles snapping at 90-degree angles as I hobbled them using only my mind. They came skidding down the hall back towards me, sliding on their backs as they howled and were pulled on a conveyor belt of blood. We always need more practice dummies around here. And you idiots will do nicely. The story you just heard was written by me, and a variation of it previously featured on the Dr. No Sleep podcast and YouTube channel. If you'd like to check out their channel for more content, please check out the description below. Become a channel member today for early access, bonus videos, and special emojis only available to members. Check out the description below or click the join button for more info. Today's video was supported by patrons like Mark from Earth, Crimson Muse, Joy Burton, Diane Showers, Mark Sewall, Cheryl James, Pick Your Sticker, Teddy Dog, Glue 404, Mama Cotto, Dante Kincaid, Zarin Ray, Angela Donovan, Blarian 50, Devin Kyle, Timothy Baird, Ajeti, Bert Turner, Bajani Aspinall, Michael Pierce, Big Joe, Carrie Harkonnen, LaDonna Spivey, Scott Tanaka, Tom Stewart, Sherman Davis, Bryce Shelton, Susan McClendon, Elise Batiste, Lisa and the Cult Jam, Open Circuit, Fabulavore, Raymond Jaggers, That Darn Fox, Raison Detra, Kai Gaming 99, Windy Burns, The Wendigo, Michael Squishy Park, The Gemstar, Vault 77 Citizen, Puppy Dan, Clovis Wolf, Eldridge Elm, Derek Prey, Elder Being, KC Hawaii, Rob T, Tragic Mermaid, Darren Fishnaller, Cloves Anoya Harris, Roe Underwood, Florida Man Luke, Bethany's Mom, Winter's Kiss, Sam Brook, The White Stag, Corgi Connection, No Name, Marta Cara, Professor Elm, Kathy Barrickman, Cybard Sands, Steve Hennessy, Melanie Sanders, The Archivist, Rob Smith, Term 4, Naz Razio, J. David Wellman Jr., Parker Lewis, Monica Moya, and D-Master 311. If you'd like to help support the channel, please consider joining my Patreon page at patreon.com/Jordan Group Horror. As a patron, you get access to bonus videos and content. You'll be credited at the end of every video going forward, and if you decide to stay for 3 months, I'll name a character after you which will be featured in a Hollow's End story. Links to join the Patreon are in the description. Thanks everyone for listening. Please like, subscribe, and comment to help the channel continue to grow. It really does help out a lot. And see you again next time at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.